Good morning and welcome to ASI Radio. I'm Nicole Rollander, Stitch's editor and executive director of professional development, and today I'm joined by Joan Chaikin, one of our managing editors.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, so how are you doing on this rainy morning in Trevose?
I made it in just in time. It was a black cloud following me all the way.
Yeah, I was actually on the road at 6 a.m., so I made it in. It was pouring rain, but I'm here. Today we've got a very special guest, Patrick Almond of Focus Digital Marketing Agency. He's actually one of our new ASI show speakers for 2016, so I'm very excited to welcome him to the show. He's a 17-year veteran of the business world and the creator of the popular Own Your Empire marketing system. He teaches business owners how to be rock star marketers in their industry by leveraging the internet for lead generation, digital TV, social media, and email marketing. He also travels the U.S. to speak at events and show people how to generate results and stop wasting their time and money. He's also a frequent contributor to Fox, NBC, ABC, and CBS News affiliates. So let's welcome Patrick to the show.
Hi, Patrick.
Oh, hi. How you doing, everybody?
Hi, Patrick. How are you doing today?
Pretty good.
So,
I hear about the cloud following you.
Yeah, although it might have cleared up a little bit, right? I think the sun's coming out, so it's just for the morning commute.
Got it. Okay.
And it's gonna be a hot and sticky day here, but we are nice and cool inside. So we're excited to talk to you today about some digital marketing strategies. I think you've got a lot of great insights. I actually saw you on an MSNBC clip where you're talking about, smartphones and posting things. And I was just, really excited to be able to share your expertise with our audience today.
Well, I appreciate it. I'm really excited in getting involved with ASI. I consider this a real privilege, and Nicole's got me working hard in 2016. I'm going to make you guys look good.
I do. So we've got a bunch of questions for you today. A lot of our distributor and supplier business owners get online, they use social media, but they often tell us that they either don't know where to start or they're trying to maximize their efforts online. So we've got a bunch of questions for you today about cyber branding and just some best practices. So let me get started. What are some cardinal cyber branding rules that somebody can use to get their company noticed online? I know you have kind of a series of rules. So what are three that you can share with us?
Well, I was thinking about this before the call today, and those rules a little bit change over time. And I think one of my newest rules that I have to adopt that I'm trying to push out to people is the whole process of planning. I can't tell people that enough that don't try to produce content, edit it, and publish it all on the same day. I try to get my content ready a week or two out, but I know some people that are working on 90-day schedules just because it's predictable. You can get guests. You can do things like plan your podcast ahead of time. Planning is one that I'm really going to start trying to stick to myself and push to my customers. Another one that I really like when it comes to cyber branding is always giving people something to do next. After you listen to a podcast, go do this. After you watch a video, go do this. Always give them something to do next in the process because you want to stay engaged with them and you want them to follow your company and learn more from you. So don't just put a piece of content out there and let them walk away from it. You want to keep them engaged with you. And I'm also a big fan of, in the whole world of branding, is to set yourself up as a company that kind of distinguishes itself with higher quality content. And so I'm a big fan of like what you're doing here with podcasts, and I do a weekly video. I like to tell people, try to aim to do something like that in your schedule right out of the chute. Try to do something like a video or a podcast because everyone's blogging, but the podcasts and the videos are really going to make your company stand out in the sea of boring and average is what I say.
What would you say are some mistakes that people make when planning out, their digital marketing plan?
Some of the mistakes I think people make are not knowing what they want to say. That's a big one. And so I tell people to kind of organize your knowledge in a series of categories and put those categories on a schedule. Oftentimes people will sit down in front of a Twitter screen or a Facebook screen and they're like, I don't have a clue as to what to say. I see everybody else has stuff to say, but they don't have a clue. And for that, I tell people, whether you're a motorcycle company or a social media company or a computer company, your knowledge can be broken down into categories. And so pick 5 or 10 categories and say this category on Monday, this category on Tuesday, et cetera, and plan that all out and put a structure to it. Because once you put a structure and a process and you make it recurring, it actually becomes quite easy, and you can plan. You can do that planning I was talking about well ahead of time.
All right, awesome. So earlier you mentioned, giving someone a call to action. I love that. And so kind of going along with that, we all want our content liked and shared online. You post something on Facebook and you're constantly seeing how many likes you have. So what are some ways that business owners can build content and components into their website and, other, I guess, social media avenues to kind of encourage sharing?
The thing I would encourage when it comes to sharing is look for some of the content types that you see that are shared a lot. Certain content types like lists or best practice lists or things like that, they're always shared a lot more than other kind of things. Also, something I picked up from the world of advertising and news in general is make sure your headline is good. If you want to get something clicked and reshared, make the headline great. There are times where I'll reshare stuff on social media even before I go read it because the headline was just brilliant. I was reading one this morning about how drinking wine can make you a better public speaker, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to reshare that. No
like
problem. Exactly. I have no idea what that's about, but I guarantee I'm going to reshare that. So headlines are really important. And, of course, it goes without saying nowadays that all of your sites need to have the regular set of social media sharing buttons on them. I like to put mine in order. I like to put mine, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, I think, are 3 necessary social sharing buttons you have to have on every website. And then after that, you can dabble into the world of Tumblr and Google Plus and things like that. But got to make sure those social sharing buttons are on there also.
Yeah, what are some specific low-cost tools that you can use to build components of your digital brand?
The tool that I have discovered, my whole tool set varies over the years, and this is a really great question because I have to talk about this on Sunday at a conference, is my tool set kind of varies over the years because the tools are always getting better and better and better. And right now, the one I'm really a big fan of is called CoSchedule, C-O and then the word schedule all put together. And I like their tool because they allow me to do that planning I was talking about where I can sit down with a calendar plus my WordPress site plus my YouTube site, and I can basically drag and drop and rearrange my content schedule. I can color code it, and I can basically make sure that different days are filled. So I was talking earlier about separating your expertise into different areas. We'll give every area of expertise a color, and then you just lay out your color-coordinated calendar with CoSchedule. CoSchedule talks to WordPress, it talks to Twitter, it talks to LinkedIn, so you can use it to plan your content, and then it will actually publish your content for you also.
All right, great. So obviously, we've talked a little bit about how to attract the right prospects, posting the right kind of content, catchy headlines. It's funny, I was listening to the radio this morning, they had a commercial for hypnosis, so they said if you want to become a better public speaker, get hypnotized, but maybe drinking wine is a better option. This is the flip side of that. Are there any ways to filter out the wrong prospects? Like, so, you want to increase your inbound marketing, so how are you making sure that the people that aren't the right people aren't coming to you?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. How do you make sure the wrong people are not coming to you? I would say try to have a very strong opinion on a certain way that you run your company or a certain way that you do sales and marketing. One of the easiest ways to filter out people, and it's been done to me plenty of times, is for me to make a very bold or strong statement, like I would never do this or I would always do this, and this is why. And I'll put that into like a blog post or a video, and I'll say this, and I'll have a very strong opinion about something. And I find also that's the kind of content that gets shared more and more is when you have a very strong opinion, you almost want to a little bit polarize people and make that, find the people that really strongly agree with you and filter out the ones that don't agree with you. And you might get a little bit of pushback on social media, a little bit of negative feedback, but that's okay because that's not your target market. There's plenty of times where I put something out on social media where people have replied to me and they've dropped some 4-letter words that weren't that nice to me, but at the same time, what I realized is those people were not the kind of people that I wanted to appeal to. And it's good that they unfollow me. It's good that they said that they don't, Patrick, I'm done with you. I have no problem. So I have no problem when people unfollow me and they don't want to listen to my message. It just means that the ones that do stay have a little bit stronger attachment to me in the way that I do things.
Yeah, I was thinking of that earlier. would you think it'd be a good idea to maybe put something that is controversial, not necessarily that you might not endorse that, but you just want to get a conversation started? You know, I mean, obviously, if you feel passionately about something and you are, you know, agitating for something, that's one thing. But if you're just want to get a conversation started, like whatever the topic of the day may be, you don't have an opinion one way or the other. Do you think that it's a good idea just to generate conversation and get some people to visit your site?
Yeah, I have no problem if you take you know an opposite opinion that you would normally take. You take a controversial one. As always, there are certain topics that you should, if you don't want to completely polarize people, you obviously stay away from religion and politics. Religion and politics are bad enough topics to discuss in person, let alone over the internet. But focus on your industry, and also if you're not, make sure that you're not talking about certain topics that you're not qualified to talk about. That's one where you could get somebody in your conversation that knows a lot more about you, and you kind of hung yourself there. But yeah, I have no problem picking somebody else's topic and expressing a strong opinion about it. A good idea. Another thing I like to do when it comes to topics is I will follow certain people that I may not necessarily agree with on purpose, just to see what they say, and then in turn create my social media content based on that other person. Say, hey, this person said this, this, and this. I don't agree with it, but what do you think about it to my audience?
Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of jumping around here a little bit. How important is it for a company to start and grow an email list?
Out of all the things in the world, I think that an email list is probably one of the absolute most important ones. If you were to take away my Twitter account, my Facebook account, or my email list, you can take my Twitter account and my Facebook account all day long. But an email list is a personal one-on-one attachment that somebody has to go through the extra effort of getting on. And an email list right now is the only way that I know of that you can get a message right in front of somebody's face. So almost all my clients, if they don't have an email list, I say, this is something we need to work on right away. An email list for the right person, even an email list can be almost like a retirement plan, because an email list allows you to constantly get your ideas and your suggestions and even your products and services out to a consistent group of people that have chosen to get on that. And an email list also gives you a good idea of how to measure who's interested in it. Just like you can measure certain things on social media, you can measure who's opening your emails, and you can measure who's clicking inside your emails, and then you can take that information and make your marketing even better based on what people are doing inside of your emails.
Do you have any tips on how often to send an email newsletter? Because I've noticed that, I sign up for a lot of email lists, and sometimes I get them so infrequently that it's annoying, and sometimes I get them so frequently it's annoying. So what's a good rule of thumb for how often to send, some sort of regular communication to your email list?
There's two ways that I approach email marketing. On the newsletter side, yes, I'm a fan of maybe no more than once a week. If you can handle it, that again involves the planning out. I don't like things that come out multiple times a week, and that's on the newsletter side. There's another way to do email marketing where you basically set up things by campaign. And so if Nicole's reading my emails and clicking in them, and I have her set up on a certain campaign, I might send her emails a little bit more frequently depending on her interest level. And that's why measuring what's going on inside your emails is so important, because I see a lot of people now. I got an email this morning from someone who I follow called Daniel Laporte, and I believe her emails even let me say whether I want something daily, weekly, or monthly. So that's another way you can segment your email list, is to basically figure out which people want to hear from you more frequently and which ones want to hear from you less frequently.
All right, cool. So you mentioned, measuring your email, and you also mentioned, some of the sites you should use for sharing, like, Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. What are your favorite social media sites for business promotion? And are there any that you would say that you should avoid, just for maybe the reason that people aren't going down those sites for business or some other reason? And then also, just to piggyback, how would you measure the ROI of some of these sites, as you're talking about them?
Okay, my number one favorite site, because I just think it's so easy and rapid fire, is Twitter, probably followed by a Facebook group out there. So those are my two favorite ones right there. The And then after that, probably Facebook pages. I try not to use my personal line there on Facebook too much. Number one, because I can't pay to market to it. And number two, just because that tends to be more the personal side. That's where my mom is. That's where my family is, things like that. For me, Twitter has been probably had the best ROI over the years. For me, I've been a huge fan of Twitter. It's allowed me to grow my local and my international market quite a bit. I even got so obsessed to the point that I went out and bought the license plate Twitter. So on my car license plate actually says Twitter. So, and the way I measure the ROI on that is I kind of try to get people, like I said, into my funnel, either onto my email list or get them to always do the call to action to click on something. You hear different schools of arguments on this. You know, you can measure social media, you can't measure social media. You can't measure social media, or it's very hard to in the traditional ROI sense, is to where I spent $1 and I got $3 back. That part of social media, if you're a traditional person who likes to measure things, that part is very hard, if not impossible. However, what you should be able to see as you're working on social media is a trend that your website's getting more traffic, that your clients are purchasing more products or services from you. There are ways, for example, when you put a tweet out there and it links back to a product on your website to basically track that product or that sale back to that tweet. So let's say you have a weekly tweet on Thursdays about a particular product on your website. You can track that tweet and track that back to revenue, and you may not get somebody on the first time or the second time, but you may eventually get the sale, and so you can measure some things there. It's just not direct as it used to be with advertising or marketing.
Yeah, so it sounds like, you're kind of strategic about what you do. What do you think about online tools, for social media productivity, like things that you can program content to be sent out to multiple sites at once, or just that you can program things to go out at certain times? Like, what do you think about those types of tools? And is there any one that you would recommend people look at?
Early on in social media, probably about 5 years ago, there was a big push of everyone that says, you're not authentic if you're planning and you're scheduling out your social media. It should always be 100% live. And I was never a believer of that. I'm still not a believer of that. I very much look at my social media channels almost like I do a TV station or a radio station, and those channels know what's going to go out ahead of time, and they plan. So it's a very good strategic plan. I like to do the same thing on social media, and for those two, I use CoSchedule, like I mentioned a little bit earlier. That's a fairly new tool that I'm just really getting a kick out of using. That company's doing some great things. And if you don't want to use CoSchedule, you can always fire up Hootsuite. I like Hootsuite. That's a free one also. And all these tools connect to the big three that I was talking about, your Facebook, your Twitter, your LinkedIn. And all of them allow you to basically make sure that your calendar is always filled with content at the right times to go out to your audience. You always hear about, the best times to tweet, the best times to email. Those usually tend to be either early morning or afternoon for all of my clients, and so those tools allow me to make sure that content is published out at those times. Hopefully I answered most of your question there.
Yeah, that was great.
Okay.
Yeah, what's the difference between free and paid social media branding components?
The free side of social media is how social media has traditionally been handled. The way social media sites are created is they create the site first, they make it free, they see if it's popular, and then they worry about monetization later. And that's kind of a weird business model compared to people that are traditionally in business who want to make a profit as soon as possible. So what most of the social media sites have done now is there's a paid component to where you can reach a segmented audience on that site. And this is something that people need to learn how to do. It's going to become an absolute requirement that you learn how to use the paid side of social media, because the free side, or what I call the organic side, is getting a smaller and smaller reach every single day. And the best platform for targeting right now, in my opinion, is, some people don't consider Google a social media site, but Google search is just a huge area where you can target, but also the Facebook paid side. Out of all the social media platforms I know of, I can't think of one where you can get down into really researching your customer and creating the perfect audience than you can with the Facebook side. I really have to give the Facebook advertising department credit, because you can target people in what they're interested in, whether or not they've been to your website in the past, whether or not they're fans of yours, what their age is, what their sex is. You can just really target it, and that's something that I think is going to be crucial for every social media manager to learn nowadays.
Yeah, and I think that that's important. There's a shift, because social media has always been free, and I think that there are people who are reluctant to, pay for these marketing opportunities online. So, what's an example of something a business owner could do today, to market online? Like Facebook ads, is that one? Like, what would you say is one thing that maybe somebody should look at if they're going to pay for something online?
The easiest way I tell people to get started is to market to your fans. So almost every business nowadays has a Facebook fan page. So you can go to your fan page right now, look at your posts, see which one's more popular, and click that boost post button and make sure that more of your fans get it. Right now, if your Facebook fan page has 1,000 followers or 1,000 likes, and you publish a post, you'll notice that a very small people, probably less than 10%, are going to see that post, and even smaller are going to like it. So you actually have to boost that post to get more of your fans to see it, and that's kind of weird because you think that Facebook would show it to all of them. Well, no, Facebook has that control, and they can do that. So that's the easiest way to get started right there. Is go to your fan page, use that boost post button. After that, you can go into the actual ad manager and then start targeting. Let's say you want to boost that post to not only to your fans and maybe their friends also. So you can kind of dip your toe in the water, use some simple tools at first, but then the more you dig into it, there's several layers. And like I said, the one that I really like, the ultimate way to target people online is to target people who have been to your website before because they've been shopping around your website. So if you go to the ASI website and you're on a page that sells a particular widget, I can hit you up on Facebook now and I can show you that widget over and over and over until you buy it.
Well, that's fantastic. I feel like we've really covered a lot of area today, Patrick, and I'm super excited to have you come to our ASI shows next year. Everybody can start checking out the schedule this summer at asishow.com. So thank you for joining us today, and we hope to talk to you soon.
Maybe we can try out the wine things.
Yes.
If that really works.
Well, not my first ASI show. Maybe my second or my
Maybe
third.
your second one.
First
Okay.
time I'm not going to do it.
All right. Have a great day, Patrick.
You too. Thanks so much for
Thank
talking to me,
you.
ladies.
So, Joan, Patrick touched on some social media productivity tools, this CoSchedule, which I've never heard of and I want to check out, and Hootsuite, which I've heard of. So, I think you've got a couple online content marketing tools that can help people deliver on their digital marketing.
Yeah, there's you say you can't have marketing, digital or traditional, without solid content marketing. So there's a few here that are pretty new. This one is called Easel, like easily, but it's spelled like with the artist easel. And it's studies are showing that users want more video clips and infographics and photos online, and they're kind of bored with just blocks of text. So, as a digital marketing content creator, you have to give them what they want. So, and this can be done easily. It's sort of like a cheat sheet for creating infographics in seconds, and it makes you look more professional. There's another thing called acro links, and because they're saying that consistency is key with your content marketing. This helps you, makes your content more clearly understood. So it'll help you make sure your language problems are corrected. And if you have branding standards, the content marketing needs to reflect that. If it looks inconsistent, it screams unprofessional and it will confuse your audience. So this will help with that. There's another one called Host with 2 T's at the end. And it's if you ever wondered what the trick is to convert your readers from passive viewers into actual clients, Host software will get you free hosting along with insights via A/B testing, which I don't even know what that means, but it will tell you which content your website visitors will, like what they like the most, so you can fine-tune your content marketing and create more effective future content. And this will lead to higher conversion rates and streamlines your digital marketing efforts.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me how many sites pop up that you don't know about. I mean, like CoSchedule, and I always love going to seminars where, people talk about, say, 10 sites that you should be checking out to, for social media or other online tools. Even Bitly, before that came along, it was like, how do you shorten your links? So I think those tools, I love the Accurate. What is that one called? The Accurate something?
Acro links.
Right. I mean, that's something where have you noticed you go online and you notice different things, or your brand progresses, and something that's like 5 years old is different from what's a year old. So I think that's great. All right, Joan. So let's close out the show with some social media etiquette for business, do's and don'ts. What's one thing that you think people should not do? Like, what's something that
Too many hashtags?
Yeah, it's funny. I've noticed a lot of hashtags, and I've started to use them, but then I notice posts where people will use, like, 5 or more hashtags,
Yeah.
and it seems kind of ridiculous.
It's too much.
Right. So I'm going to share a few. I mean, aside from the obvious things like the hashtags or, don't use all caps, here are a few that surprised me a little bit and I think might not be common knowledge. So the first one is have your social media profiles completed and full. So have you ever seen somebody follows you on Twitter and you click to look at their profile and they don't have a picture, they don't have a complete name, they might not have a website or who they are, and then you think, well,
they're shady.
Right? Are they're shady? Are they a real follower?
Right.
So take that extra 5 minutes to fill out all the about you information and include a photo if you can. We mentioned automation. I mean, Patrick has a good point that automation really makes a lot of sense. But when he was talking about, creating your content 3 months out, you obviously have to be flexible. So if you're creating something and then something happens in the news or something happens in your industry, you want to be flexible and, update your content accordingly so that you look like a real person in real time, not a robot. Let's see. Okay, so this is kind of a consistent thing. We talked about newsletters. If you send out a newsletter every Monday with a product video that shows how to use a cool product, and then one Monday you just decide to switch it up and have something completely different, people get upset by that because they come to expect this product tip. They look forward to it. They might share it with other people. So you always want to stay consistent, especially when it's something that people really like. And one other one, I've noticed that this really is a turnoff for me. Auto direct messages. So right, you follow someone on Twitter and then you get this message in your inbox and it says, "Hey, thanks for following me. Let's connect on Facebook."
Right.
You click on the link and then it's a product page. And then it's kind of a turnoff, like, wow, we don't even have a relationship and you're asking me to follow you. So I think that those are all really important things to think about. But of course, have fun on social media and interact with people.
For sure. That's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. Well, I think that wraps up this week's show. So thanks, everybody, for joining us. And I think it was a great show with Patrick.
Yep, definitely was.
All
Looking
right.
forward to seeing him.
Absolutely.
Yep.
All right. So see everybody next time.